All right, so yeah, Peter Gabriel. So
Yeah, Peter Gabriel. So,
why don't you start with this one? Give me. Uh, I'm
yeah,
very interested in this album, so but you know it better than I do. So um,
well, I'll kind of set us up a little bit here. I chose this album for a couple of reasons. One, to me, it's a classic album of the '80s. Um, Peter Gabriel was always really also equally kind of avant-garde to me, as we talked about with Blondie, really pushing an envelope of artistic nature, if you will, by trying diversity. I felt like Peter Gabriel pushed the artistic kind of liberty in a specific genre with this album, which felt more like world music, which I didn't really know
yeah,
what world music was at the time,
right.
and had I wanted to revisit it because the biggest track on there, In Your Eyes, I always felt was a really, really beautiful song that to me got ruined by a movie. So that was featured in the movie Say Anything with John Cusack. And, it's when he holds the boombox over his head. And it sort of cheapened the song, and it made it undoubtedly probably a bigger hit than it would have normally been. But
Mm,
it,
right.
to me, overshadowed an otherwise great album. The other thing is it was my first CD I ever bought.
Oh, really? Okay.
So it was well after the album came out. I probably bought the CD in like 1987. I think the
Yeah,
album must have come out in '85.
yeah, 85, 86, or something like that. Yeah.
And the other reason I wanted to revisit it was so In Your Eyes, I felt was really ruined by that movie. And I couldn't listen to that song.
Interesting.
And then you turned me on to Rick Beato, and he did a "What Makes This Song Great" on In Your Eye,
Oh,
and it made me remember what a great song it is when I detached it from it being overplayed on the radio,
right.
overplayed at weddings. Also another song that's
Yeah,
like Rapture and The Tide Is High. You're gonna hear those three songs at weddings in perpetuity to a certain degree. And the other thing is, I thought that harmed. This is I'm actually going somewhere with this, believe it or not. Um, Sledgehammer was, I thought, also sort of ruined for me by the video.
interesting. I was going to make that point too.
So like when I listened to this again, I thought, wow, I'm not gonna like Sledgehammer, and I'm not gonna like In Your Eyes. And Big Time a little bit. Big Time
Hmm.
to me is sort of a David Byrne ripoff. Like it's a Talking Heads,
Hmm.
maybe homage, but it's the first time I saw, in my opinion, Peter Gabriel copy someone, and
Mm.
to me it was David Byrne. Um,
On Big Time?
yeah,
Hmm.
so to me it reminded me of
The video, you mean?
a little
Or
bit
the
of the
song?
video and a little bit of the song.
Okay.
Was kind of that mocking sarcasm and that big '80s, mocking.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know the right way or the best way to say it, but so that was kind of my challenge with it. Was okay. I knew I loved this album. I'd gotten far away from it. I mean, I probably listened to it a ton, 87, 88, 89. and
Yeah.
then just hadn't really listened to it since.
Yeah. Interesting.
Um, so yeah, I had forgotten. For me, it's a powerful album, partially
Yeah.
because of the time I was. My parents had gotten divorced. It was sort of a chaotic time in my life. Um, you know, MTV was a huge influence in my life, and like I said, I couldn't get these random weird images from big time, not big time, but Sledgehammer out of my mind, like those dancing chickens, and it just I didn't get it. I couldn't make the video match the song, and so I sort of dismissed the song. But I knew I loved Red Rain and Mercy Street. Um, I knew I loved That Voice Again, which actually I think is one of my favorite songs on the album. And I wanted to revisit some of the power of it. Like, Tony Levin is the bass player
Okay. Yeah.
from King Crimson.
Oh,
And so you had him on bass. You had a guy named Manu Katché on drums. And that rhythm section created for me this big sound that I felt I hadn't heard before, and that I felt, frankly and bluntly, from my point of view, Paul Simon cheapened when he tried to do a little bit more like African or world music.
yeah. On his was it Graceland album? I think.
Graceland, yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I felt there was more reverence with Peter Gabriel in his
Interesting.
use of that type of drumming and that influence. So yeah, I hadn't listened to it in a long time, and I enjoyed it. I forgot how dark it was. It's a pretty melancholy.
Yeah,
Uh,
there are some very melancholy songs.
yeah, but for me, Red Rain, opening with Red Rain, is a big song. I really enjoyed hearing that, and then Sledgehammer, I enjoyed like I'd never enjoyed it before. Almost like it was like almost like a New Orleans romp in a way. Like kind of
Yeah.
jazzy and funky. Because I'd been long enough to get the video out of my mind. I
Yeah.
actually
That's good.
I really was sort of brought to tears by "Don't Give Up." I forgot how beautiful that was,
I was too.
and Kate
Yeah.
Bush's voice is just
Yeah.
incredible. And then that voice again, just that big drums and the big chorus, and then how it kind of slows down. And then off to Mercy Street, which is one of my favorite Peter Gabriel songs of all time. So
That's a great song. Yeah.
yeah, so that's sort of my reflections on it. I felt like it held up after all these years. It's still like if that was released today, I would believe it.
Yeah. That's
Like
true. I agree with that. Yep.
I think Big Time felt pretty 80s in a way. Sledgehammer felt pretty 80s, but the rest of it, I felt could very easily be released or relevant today.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. I love the album. I didn't know anything about it really. And I tried to avoid, kind of like you with, we talked about Auto American earlier, but I tried to avoid looking anything up about it. Um, I happened to read something about Big Time, and I was like, oh, I didn't want to know any more about these songs. So, because it just kind of ruins it. Well, not if it ruins it, but I want to hear them a few dozen times maybe 100 times before I look something up and see what other interpretations are.
Yeah, you want your own experience.
Yeah, you want your own experience. But my, I didn't. My impression of Peter Gabriel was just, yeah, I remember him a lot from the '80s. Had a lot of big video hits, which were kind of annoying videos. I thought they were like overdone and trying, like the videos like MTV had kind of jumped the shark. It was like kind of cool abstract, weird videos in the first, 4 or 5 years, and then the big money started coming in, and this. I mean, I watched one of the videos again, and they're like extremely well done, and or like but overproduced, and tons of money spent on it. And again, it didn't match the song for me either. Um,
Yeah.
so I remember these songs from the '80s, like okay, they're kind of okay songs. I didn't know what world music was. I didn't really appreciate Peter Gabriel. Didn't have the albums. Um, so I really appreciated being able to sit down and listen to it. And so I've had it on my phone here the last few days and just been listening to it over and over again at work when I'm working.
Nice.
Um, so yeah, it's a great album. I would say, um, well, Red Rain I think is probably my least favorite song.
Yeah.
It's just too dark to me. It's just too kind of drudging and scary and I don't know, dystopia or something. I don't know what it's about, but I didn't connect with it much.
Yeah.
Um, Sledgehammer, uh, catchy. Like you kind of I hadn't listened to it in a long time, so I kind of appreciated that again. I don't know what these songs are about. I'm guessing this is just it's about sex. I'm taking it for face value. I don't know what else.
I think so. I want
I,
to be your sledgehammer.
yeah, I mean,
That's awfully. He's awfully full of himself with that too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know if there's like maybe there's some double meaning there or something we're not getting, or I didn't, I didn't read about it. But
Yeah.
what I really liked about this album is that it goes from like Red Rain to Sledgehammer, and these different feels of these songs were incredible. The journey and the track selection, the order of the songs, really I really liked.
Yeah.
I like "Don't Give Up" is incredible. I was also moved to tears on that one.
Yeah.
Just such a delicate, emotional song. I really like that one. I listened to that one over, and that voice again is really good,
Yeah. Power. That just powerful.
powerful. I'm not exactly sure what that's about. Um, it's something with a relationship and finding, and it was something about these two people and hearing that voice again.
Yeah.
I gotta have to again listen to it a couple dozen times to get my own opinion more solidified, but it was powerful. Um, in Your Eyes, of course, overplayed, but um, although for some reason on my Spotify album, it would always go from In Your Eyes was at the end, so I don't know what was wrong with the order, but it was that voice again, then Mercy Street, which I also loved. I think that was another, Mercy Street, that voice again, and Don't Give Up were three. I thought the top three songs.
Yeah. Incredible songs.
Yeah, and so this middle section is really, it really draws you in. It's very, very powerful, very emotional. And then again, the running order of these songs, and then you finish with Mercy Street, and also you hear this "Hi there,"
Yeah. Yeah.
and it made me laugh every time. Like, okay, now I'm getting picked up again with Big Time,
Yeah.
and that song really grew on me too. I found that really catchy,
Yeah. I
and
did too, actually.
I found myself repeating the lyrics over and over again. I think again, like I said, I think he's mocking people in the
Yeah.
'80s or something, but I also found it kind of inspirational. To me, like a double meaning. I kind of like, okay, yeah, I think you can draw some inspiration from it.
Yeah.
I'm on my way. I'm making it, and
Yeah.
if he was totally mocking, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but the music kind of lifted you up and it was kind of peppy. So to me, it's kind of a pickup song. I you know, I liked it. I liked the
Yeah.
lyrics. Um,
Yeah.
it was a great transition from, like I said, those three or four dark songs or don't know if they're all dark, but very emotional songs before it. Um, yeah, and then the last one I had, I don't know. I think the original one is "We Do What We're Told," which is another good song.
Yeah.
And then I had a bonus track, the "Excellent Birds" one. I don't know if you know that one, but I
Oh,
thought that was
yeah.
interesting. I like that one a lot too.
Yeah, I feel like that Excellent Birds was like written for like a charity event or something.
I don't know, but it's really good. I like that one a lot too. Uh,
Yeah, it's a great song.
but I love this album. It's great. I think it's one you could keep listening to over and over. I love that middle section.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's interesting about your comments about Red Rain. Um, I like Red Rain, um, but I get where you're coming from with it. It is a dark song, and it does kind of go on.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, it
and
does
it
kind of
goes on and
run on.
on. I'm gonna check the runtime of it actually. Yeah, it's a 5.5 minute song.
5:39. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you'd almost think, like, to your point about talking about track selection, it's an interesting opener.
Yeah, that's an interesting opener. It almost sounds like a last song on the album to me.
Yeah,
But
especially when you've got Sledgehammer next, you'd almost
right.
think that Sledgehammer with that little flute would like open the album and then go
Yes.
straight into the rockin' beat.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
pretty peppy song, Sledgehammer.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
with the horns and the beat. But then, yeah, so you start with Red Rain, and you're like kind of drained a little bit.
Right.
And then, yeah, Sledgehammer picks you right back up, only to be emotionally kind of a puddle with Don't Give Up,
Hmm.
and then kind of goes right back to the spin cycle with that voice again.
Mm.
And takes you back up a bit, but while the
A,
chorus
a
is,
little bit. Yeah.
yeah, the chorus is kind of rocking, but then the verses settle down in that
Hmm.
song. And then you go into Mercy Street, which is just a beautiful song.
Yeah. It's a beautiful
Stunning.
song. Yeah.
And then, yeah, I like your observation with after Mercy Street, then Hi There.
Yeah. It made me laugh every time. I was
Yeah.
like kind of in the background, like, oh yeah.
I'm really happy to hear that you enjoyed the album.
Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the music. You mentioned the flute intro. I enjoyed the intro on a lot of these songs. Really well thought out.
Yeah.
Different instruments, different, I guess world beats and world instruments. It was like well put together, well thought out. It made me think. It made me feel.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really good. Really enjoyed it.
Oh, right on. Yeah. I'm happy to hear it. Like I said, it was an album that, um, yeah, I hadn't heard all the songs when I bought the CD. You remember, like, what was it, BMG and Columbia House?
Yeah,
So it was like one of those things, and it was like my first selection.
yeah, yeah,
And I remember getting it and putting it on, and yeah, I was so used to Big Time and Sledgehammer that, and of course In Your Eyes, that hearing that middle section that you're talking about, I was blown away.
mm,
And even more so now, just with more mature ears listening to it and some time. Um, Beautiful album.
yeah. What's good. It came out of the mid to late '80s. I mean, it's kind of we were just talking about how bad the late '80s were, but if this is '86,
Yeah.
it really is a unicorn for that time period. That stuff wasn't happening like this then. So
Oh,
um,
and like I said,
more intellectual and a lot more musicality to it.
yeah, yeah. Well, I don't mean to pick on Paul Simon, but while Paul Simon was doing "You Can Call Me Al," with Chevy Chase, Peter Gabriel was doing this album,
Yeah.
and
But he
to
also had dancing chickens in the videos, to be fair. So,
absolutely,
I don't know. He didn't escape it somehow.
you can't. I will not cover. I will not cover for him on that one.
Yeah.
Not at all. But yeah, I felt like I don't know how much today, this would be looked at as inspired by, or if this would even be any type of a cultural appropriation. But I felt like it was really well executed and expanded my mind in areas of music I just felt I hadn't heard before.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with bringing other culture and music into it. I don't see what's wrong with that.
Oh, sorry. Hang on. Sorry, I don't know if that.
We're live on the air. I don't know how you could have a cell phone go off. That's a
Yeah.
cardinal sin.
Oh my God. It's on my computer. It was FaceTime.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah. My apologies there. Oh man. There we go. Let me. Man. Hopefully we got enough there. Um, yeah. Any final
Yeah.
thoughts?
I think we kind of said it all. Um, enjoyed again, the variety and the musical influences and the lyrics and the running order. So I thought it was a top notch album. Good choice.
Right on. Yeah. I don't think I have much more.
All right.
I'll still be listening to it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's pick some more at some point. I
Yeah.
like this. This was fun.
Oh
This
yeah.
is I love listening to it, and I loved hearing your thoughts about it, and then not giving my thoughts about it too.
Same. Yeah. I appreciated not knowing anything about what your experience was going into this.
What's that?
I appreciated that I didn't know anything
Oh,
about your reactions going into this.
right. Yeah.
I didn't know what you liked, what you didn't like,
Yeah.
and no, it was great. Like I said, I figured you would after re-listening to So again. I figured you would get into it.
Yeah. It was good. Like I said, was never really into it. It was just kind of another guy in the '80s. For some reason, I wasn't in that type of music at that point. I don't know what I was listening to, but I guess it's just MTV kind of general stuff. And
Yeah. Well,
so
yeah, and he had, like, Shock the Monkey, right? Um that was a big hit.
I like that song.
Yeah. And Games Without Frontiers.
I like that song.
Um and
Digging in the Dirt. I like that
I
one.
like that song a lot. That actually, that album, that Digging in the Dirt is on, it's a really worthwhile album to listen to.
Hmm.
I think a lot of similarities to So on that
Okay.
album. I think that album's called Us.
Oh,
I think he like got into two-letter album name
yeah.
for a while.
Sounds like
Uh,
it.
yeah, and so Us uh, had really similar, like, starts off in a way and then moves in these different emotional directions. Um, yeah. Well, yeah. Well, let's see how this turns out.
Hey, thanks for watching all the way through. If there are other albums or songs you'd like to see us discuss, please let us know in the comments below and we'll take a look at it. Again, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.